Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Armored Batman from Kingdom Come, which is awfully similar to the Armored Animated Series Batman, and I like that a whole bunch. This figure is one that is both very impressive and relatively disappointing and mediocre at the same time. It does some things pretty well, really well in fact, and then it does some things that are just not very good at all. And we're going to talk about all of it. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands, not counting his ears because that wouldn't be helpful for scaling, just about 19 centimeters, and that's going to make him pretty close to 7 and 5/8 inches. He was leaning just a little bit, but that's probably going to be how you have to stand him up because he is very back heavy. Darwin is obviously a lot shorter than Batman because Batman's in a different scale. Okay, let's do a quick question of the day. Do you like this look for Batman, or is it a little bit too retro for you? I think it's a very cool piece to add to the collection, and I'm happy to do it. Real quick, guys, before we get into the rest of the video, I do want to tell you about a new gaming chair. Well, it's a brand that I haven't talked about before, and I have one now, and they are really nice. And here's the thing, don't worry if you're not gaming, they have all kinds of different varieties. They have ones that look like regular office chairs, or ones that look like Sparco racing seats. If you want, you can have any variety you want. They come in all different sizes. The one that I have is the Jumbo Super Extra Large one for really big people, and it is incredibly comfortable. These things are easily some of the best chairs that I have ever sat in. These chairs are made with really, really nice components. The materials are really good. You're always going to have some level of plastic on something like this, but the plastic is either over metal or not something that is weight bearing. These things are super heavy duty, overbuilt, or at least the big one is. I can't try out the little ones, I don't fit in them, but it's really, really nice. They have nice, strong supports, and they have all kinds of features too. They have all the features you could possibly want in a chair. They have the reclining features, they have the adjustable tilt for the seat itself. They have a locking mechanism so you can keep it there, so you just sit down, and it's exactly the way you left it. You have like very, very adjustable armrests with height, inside outside movement, forward back, angles, all kinds of stuff. It's basically anything you could want in a chair. These guys have it. It's like I said, they're as good as anything else I've ever reviewed for a gaming chair. They're up there as some of the best for sure. And they happen to look really nice and be made really well. And if you want to have extra lumbar support, you've got a pillow for that. Maybe you have a bad back or something, or if you just want to be able to lean your head back on an extra cushiony pillow, then they also include those. So don't be put off by the fact that some of them look like racing seats. You don't have to get that. They have all different varieties. And even the ones that do look like racing seats, they are very tastefully designed and they look really good. And I like these chairs a whole bunch, and I thought you guys might too. So use my discount code, save yourself 20%, and enjoy sitting on something a little bit more supportive and comfortable. All right, but let's talk about the aesthetic, because there are some things that are a problem. First thing, I love that they made the wings glossy. Not that they really need it to be glossy to be accurate, but it does give some contrast in materials, and I think that's pretty good. We do also have some metallic in here, which looks awesome. That most definitely is painted, if you ask me. It has to be painted. I don't see any marbling going on at all. It's very hard to make silver plastic without marbling, so that looks really nice. I do believe it is painted. The gloss and the metallic put together looks wonderful. Things that don't look wonderful: the suit is lacking any sort of finish at all other than just bare plastic. It's not super glossy, so I'm okay with that, but this I'm almost positive is supposed to be silver, and then the whole suit I'm pretty sure should be metallic. And you can argue whether or not these are supposed to be blue or black. I think black is probably okay, but I think at least metallic. And there is not any metallic. Other than the boots being glossy and these arm pads being glossy, there's no finish differentiation in the core figure at all, and it does detract. Luckily, the sculpt is pretty solid, and a little bit of paint would go a real long way. A little bit of dry brushing even, just to bring some life to it, would be nice, especially with these little like vent pieces on there. It look really, really nice. As it is, it doesn't look bad, but it does look very bare. So if you care about that, you might care about it here. His head sculpt is actually solid. I think it might be a touch big, but it's generally drawn kind of big because it's meant to look kind of helmety. But the way the face is situated in there, it makes the whole thing look a little bit big, but not too bad. But I do like the sculpt. As far as the details go in the face, looks really nice. And I think they nailed the paint about as well as you can for the face and eyes. That looks really good. The only real problem I have with the head sculpt is the ears. Problem is the ears, and they look like butter knives. So that definitely could be a lot better. They're supposed to be very pointy. Here, I have some reference for you. Look at that. Look at that. So yeah, it's not perfect, but that's a pretty cool head sculpt other than the ears. And if you were so inclined, you could probably straighten them out a little bit and maybe even trim them front to back to make them look a little bit pointier. But yeah, it's aesthetically pleasing. It definitely needs to not be bare plastic to look really good, but given that it's all new sculpt, that goes a long way. His upper arms look really tiny. They're kind of drawn that way in that the biceps have this little weird cylinder in most of the drawings, like an armored bicep, but they look really, really tiny on this figure. And I think they could, because his legs are really long, his body's pretty big, the arms do seem a little bit too small. So that would be a nice improvement. But yeah, it looks pretty good overall, and considering it's an all new sculpt, you have to give him some credit there. So I'm gonna say this gets an 8 out of 10. It's solid, but definitely could have used at least a touch of paint somewhere on the main figure, other than just to turn this gray. Which is like, if you're gonna paint this anyway, don't paint it gray, paint it silver. That would have been really nice. But yeah, the belt is part of the torso and it's painted, so very strange. Okay, as far as accessories go, you get nothing. You get only the DC display stand, which amounts to nothing, and you get the collector card, which just shows how cool the character design is and how it could have looked a little bit better with a little bit of shading. But that's okay, I guess. So yeah, 0 out of 10 for accessories, because those don't count. All right, let's talk about the articulation. You're going to be surprised to find out. No, I'm kidding. The head basically doesn't move. It doesn't really do anything. It technically has at least a single ball peg in there, but with that giant collar being a giant collar, and they did connect it to the torso, you're not getting the head to do anything. You might be able to wiggle out a little bit of a turn, but basically not. Like, that's it. Just a little bit. I mean, that's reasonable, I guess. They could have made the whole collar swivel, though. That would have been cool. It's basically round, and it is a separate piece, so if they made the whole thing turn so that you could actually have him look to the side, that'd be really nice. For the shoulders, ball hinge, there's no cap in there, so that's nice. They do get a little bit of wiggle, but not enough to be useful, so I don't really get it. Shoulders are pretty loose, but they're not going to have to do anything but hold the hands up because he has no gripping hands or anything, so that's okay. You get full rotation. This is a nice soft piece, so you can bring the arm up relatively well. I like that. No bicep swivel, that blows big time. Single jointed elbow. Less than 90 degrees, that blows. That's where you get your bicep swivel. And that's there. It's okay. It's better than nothing, but it is just above nothing. Wrists are on ball hinges, but these gauntlets, even though they're soft, they are there, so you're not really getting to do anything with the wrists. For the torso, you get a ball peg. It does lean forward some, which is lucky because he's very back heavy. Leans side to side, decent. Goes back. Looks like it would even go back farther, but the plastic back here gets in the way, so it works well enough. You do get rotation out of it. Lower torso, I do believe there's a ball peg in there. Well, I think there is, but it's really hard to say because this is just a soft piece of plastic, including the abdomen and the belt, and I can't really grab it in any way that lets me test the articulation. It does move, but I don't know, like, if it's just stuck or if it's not supposed to move. It's hard to say, but there is some kind of movement in there, but functionally it's not going to do anything, so just be aware of that. For the hips, I am a little bit bothered by this. Well, we'll get to it in a second, I guess. Going out to the side, they work well enough, especially for Batman in this suit. I don't think you need more than that, so that's reasonable. They do have these giant hip panels, so that's fine. I get it. But bringing the legs down, this is the thing that bothers me. They didn't cut them. They could have cut them just a little bit lower so that he can bring his feet together more. Just to let him stand properly. He doesn't have to stand with his feet at full shoulder width all the time. That would be better. And you could technically do that yourself by trimming this if you wanted to, but definitely do that at your own risk. That's going to be a little iffy. So be very careful if you're an adult, and if you're a kid, get parental help. I'm not advocating for using sharp things if you're a kid or an adult who shouldn't be around sharp things. All right, bringing the leg forward. The diaper's soft enough, but the way it flexes is a little bit ugly, but you can get that leg out there if you need to, and you can just try to hide the ugliness, so that's okay. Thigh swivel, you would think it would work, and it does. It's pretty good. I'll take it. For the knee, standard double jointed knee. Big ass knee joint. Proportionally speaking, it's pretty good. He has big legs, but his lower legs are just about the same length. You see that? Like, it's not absolutely perfect. They're a little bit longer, but his foot and lower leg, same length as the upper leg. That's how you want it. So that's That's pretty solid. I'll take that. No problem there. And then for the ankle, it is the ball hinge. Let's see what kind of range we get. These wings get in the way so much. All right, let's see how this works. So there's 1 notch. 2. Oh, wow. 2.5 notches only. That's going to be a pain in the ass to pose. You do get the full range of the ball in terms of ankle rocker, so that's nice. But the hinge is not good. Toe hinge is very loose and too far back, but they did do it right in that there's not a big gap at the bottom. It's flush. So that's cool, but it is too loose and too far back. Okay, and then the last thing to talk about for articulation would be the wings. They do snap on. You have to do it personally, yourself. It's like a Build-A-Figure. Not really. I don't know how useful these are to pose. Like, I don't know who's going to want to do that necessarily, but you do get to bring them forward like that much, and they go back like that much. So you might be able to figure out some way to make that useful, but it looks way cooler when they're just like this. They do have a slight curve to them. I curved them this way so that they come forward a little bit. I suppose you could do it the other way, but this does have a little curve to it, so you probably want to curve them forward. But yeah, articulation's acceptable. It's not good. For this Batman design, I imagine most people aren't planning on doing a whole lot with it. Just stand it there and let it look cool. So, I mean, you could justify it, but it's not great. I'll give it I'm going to go 6. I don't think there's any reason to not have a bicep swivel and a double jointed elbow. That bothers me. I mean, they did it for cheapness, but otherwise it's reasonably limited, like the collar and whatnot, so it's not a big deal. Yeah, you can definitely move that. Anyway, okay, time for the final verdict on this guy. I think it's a really strong release. It's not perfect. It's definitely got flaws, like could have more paint for sure, but the sculpt is overall really nice, and the differentiation in the finishes, I should say variation in finishes, between the wings and whatever metallic parts are on there, though not enough, and the decent head sculpt, I think it comes to life just enough that it's going to look good on the shelf. You're not going to be super disappointed to have it, and if you're so inclined, you could definitely throw some paint on there and bring it to life. So, I'm going to say this figure gets an overall rating of 8 out of 10. A new sculpt, a brand new sculpt, goes a long way, and there's a lot of sculpt going on here and a lot of plastic in the package, and overall I'm very pleased with it, especially at the price point of being less than Marvel Legends. I think these are about the same price. I think our one was 26. I think this guy's 25 maybe? He might have been 26, I don't remember. But either way, look at that. Alright, so there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. That's okay too. If you liked the figure, let me know in the comment section below. If you don't, let me know why, and maybe we can talk about that. But if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos every day but Wednesday, and I have thousands of videos already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.